Hello there, and welcome to another one of a series of testimonial interviews in regards to thought leaders who have decided to make CENTEGIX and CrisisAlert its partner. And with us today, we have Dr. Mike Duncan, who is the Superintendent of Pike County Schools in Georgia. Just to give a disclaimer, I've known Dr. Duncan for a long time, and this is sort of a fun interview for me. So it feels like I'm talking to a friend more so than a colleague. So look forward to this conversation and hearing a lot about the great things that are happening in Pike County schools, especially in the areas of school safety and support, and just really get Dr. Duncan's thoughts on CENTEGIX as a partner, CrisisAlert as a tool and resource, and literally how it's making a difference for the faculty, staff, and students of this district. So welcome, Dr. Duncan.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate the opportunity.
Oh, good, good. I just want to give you an opportunity to share a little bit about yourself, about your career path, how you ended up in the Pike County schools as a superintendent, some of the things that you are most proud of, and then ultimately, obviously, the partnership with CENTEGIX.
Oh, wonderful. This is my 18th year as school superintendent here in Pike County. I came here after serving as a high school principal in Clayton County for 3 years. I was also an assistant principal in Clayton County for a few years. And before that, I started my career in Fayette County at Flat Rock Middle School, teaching middle school science and social studies. I was at a very progressive, very forward-thinking middle school that certainly set me on the path that I've been on in my career. My 18 years in Pike County has really been just a wonderful blessing to me, Rod. And we've talked about it over the years, just the longevity that I've enjoyed here and serving a community that values the school system and is supportive and appropriately engaged. And I would say the thing that I'm really most proud of is we've been working the last 10 years to think about deeper learning and instructional transformation, and to build an instructional model that prepares kids for the world they're going into and not the one we currently live in. And we've done a lot of work over the last 10 years of building that vision, developing capacity, developing the support systems that surround our students and teachers to bring that vision to life and create that success, connecting with external partners that allow that work in the classroom to go beyond the classroom and go into the world and make a difference. And I'm just really proud of that. We have a portrait of a graduate that we've had for almost 12 years now. It's kind of become a fad kind of thing to have a portrait of a graduate, but I would say in our district, that portrait of a graduate is lived every day through the 5 competencies of critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, communication, personal responsibility that we intentionally design for. And we see the growth and development of our students and track that progress around those competencies. And a portrait of an educator that supports that work, and defining an educator in our school district as being a designer, a guide, and a curator, and not a disseminator of information. So really just reimagining what public school can be. And certainly we're not there yet. We have a lot of hard work left ahead of us, and it's exciting. And I spent an hour this morning with a U.S. History PLC talking about transfer tasks and making the study of history more relevant and meaningful for kids who don't like history. And just an amazing group of teachers that I get to surround myself with every day, and just the best group of school level leaders that I've ever seen. And so, man, I just come to you today grateful and blessed.
Well, that's obviously a great introduction, and it really does highlight a couple of things that I've always known to be true and appreciated about you and your leadership. And that is that you've always been, from the time that I've known you, a very instructionally focused leader. And it's good to know that your ascension to the superintendency, you haven't waned on that at all. And so that's a testament to what you value. It's a testament to the focus that you bring to this work, and how you stay connected to it, right? Still being willing and able to work in PLCs and connect with teachers on the work that happens in the classroom every day is critical. One of the things I think would be valuable for us to hear from you about this topic because of that focus that you've always had around quality instruction and all of those things that empower teachers to be the best teachers in the classroom. You know, Crisis Alert is a tool that is designed to help alert when there's any help that's needed, right? And many times those things have a tendency to disrupt in some ways the instructional process. Can you make the connection a little bit about how Crisis Alert can be a benefit to not just notifying when there's a situation, but how it then shortens that time frame that gets teachers back to teaching and the quality instruction that we all want to value in our schools?
Yeah, thank you for that. That's a great question. It all goes back to culture. And we know in all the classes that we ever took in all the graduate programs that we've been involved in, that even going back to thinking about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, is that we're not going to get to self-actualization and deeper levels of learning if we do not have safety and psychological safety that exist as a core component of our classrooms and of our overall culture in our school. And so, just going back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, safety precedes everything. You're not going to have an environment in which people can collaborate and engage in deeper learning without feeling safe, without feeling physically safe, psychologically safe, emotionally safe. And so this partnership is a great component of our overall culture, in that we know we have to have safety for us to be able to do the deeper things that we want to do. But it also goes in and ties into our overall vision and our overall beliefs and our core values. We have 3 core values in Pike County. It's relationships, ownership, and innovation. And this fits in so nicely with our core value of ownership, because we want every adult in our organization to have ownership of their surroundings, their environment. And by this partnership with CENTEGIX, we were able to lift up our core value of ownership, and through the process of having the badge and in instilling that ownership for every single adult in our building to be able to lock the building down if necessary. For us, it was putting tactical strategies and realness to our core values. If we say that we want everyone to have ownership, then we have to have tools and processes that allow them to have that ownership. And we're talking about ownership of safety, ownership of student outcomes, ownership of their own professional growth. And so this is just a really important partnership for us, because once again, it put our values front and center with a partnership that made a difference.
Well, that obviously is a strong statement to, the way in which, safe environments are better learning environments. And that's one of the things that I've always believed during my days as a school leader as well. It's great to hear other practitioners echoing that same sentiment, because at the end of the day, everybody has to feel like they can maximize the opportunities they have. And it's hard to do that when, there's things that you're thinking about that may not, allow for you to have your focus and have your attention. So this does provide that level of context. And so I appreciate that statement. It also goes in line with, the overall reason why Pike County Schools decided to partner with CENTEGIX, right? I'm sure that there's a broad range of things you considered as you thought about this partnership. Are there anything else that you can share that led to your decision to say CENTEGIX with Crisis Alert is the tool and the partnership that we want for our students and faculty and staff?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, it was alignment to those core values and commitments that we have and that we articulate to our community. That was first and foremost. But secondly, there was a commitment to customer service, and there was a commitment to relationships. And we're a small district, and once again, you hear me kind of harp on it, because I believe it's just fundamental for leaders to make decisions based on their core values. Relationships is our #1 core value. We are a highly relational culture, so we wanted a partnership where we were going to have a deep relationship. we were going to have people we could call, people we knew by first name, people who were felt were a part of the pirate family, not an external vendor in a call center, but people like yourself that we've had relationships with over the years, that there was that friendship, there was that relationship that exists. That was really important to us because we are a highly relational culture. It is one of our core values. And so the commitment to customer service and building a deep and lasting relationship, that came through at the very beginning, and since day one, that continues to be the trend. Now, of course, with all things, with technology, not every day is perfect, not everything is 100%
Right.
foolproof, but
Right.
nothing is. And the idea that the relationship exists, that we can have the conversations and have frank and candid conversations and articulate our needs, and to have people on the other end that have empathy for what our school level leaders are going through and respond in an extremely fast fashion. That's what relationships are about. And so it, once again, it aligns so clearly with our core values, and this partnership meets that core value of relationships.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. One of the things also that it, kind of correlates with is, getting folks to really buy into this ideal, these core values, but also having partnerships that extend the outreach to those values. And that gets to your stakeholders, right? That gets to not only your community, but also those who are responsible for leading the district, your board, yourself as a superintendent, your cabinet and other district leadership, school leaders, obviously classroom leaders, and then of course our students. And so can you share a little bit about how Crisis Alert has been received by your stakeholders? And you can kind of go in whatever order you want in regards to whether it's your board or whether it's just the community at large. So can you just kind of share a little bit about how the
Oh yeah. That's easy, right? When we first started this, of course we took this to the board, and it was very easy for the board to see the value add, but I think the biggest difference was how our faculty felt about it, how they felt empowered, how they felt valued. And everyone in the organization, from the custodian to the school nutrition worker to the classroom teachers to the principal, everyone in the organization had equal access. They had equal responsibility. And for us, it was a really, really positive culture piece, because once again, we were affirming the value that every adult in the organization brings every day. Part of our core values and relationships is assuming good intentions. And so we know that our employees have good intentions and the right intentions to keep our kids safe. And once again, that was extending that value and making that core value visible to our staff. From the parents, I mean, this was overwhelmingly a positive thing for our parents, because anything that we do that is reasonable, anything that we do is prevention related, that is so positive for our community. And of course, like most districts that may be investigating a partnership with CENTEGIX, it is one of the many things that you do to keep your school safe. But I believe that the alert system and the way that works, it is so important in the overall safety process, the safety plan that you have for your school. And I believe, back before this technology was available, we're almost at that point where we're asking ourselves, what did we do without this?
correct? Yeah.
Because when you're in a small rural district, intercoms don't always work, phones
Right.
don't always work. You don't
Right.
always have cell signals. You do have some of those kind of things that come up. And so we're at that point where I think we're at that point now where, at least for us, we were, what did we do without this? And so it seems so logical at this point that we couldn't live without it. It's one of those things, you didn't know how bad you needed it till you got it, and now
Yep.
you can't live without it.
Yep. Sometimes you don't know what you need until you get it, right? And
Absolutely.
so it really resonates so much. And of course, and during my practitioner days, I think about all the different ways we try to do some of the similar things that Crisis Alert does intuitively. It cuts down on the time to get to situations. And a lot of times that is really a way of preventing things, right? We keep track of the number of incidences we have, the number of discipline referrals or any of the more egregious type things that happen, medical situations, but we never really have a way of capturing the incidences that we prevent, right? Are our
Oh,
protocols working? So having data at your fingertips that you can then correlate with that other more discipline or medical type data that you capture, and being able to talk about how many things you prevent really does also bring to your stakeholders another layer of support that, hey, the things that we're putting in place, the procedures that we have, the protocols we have, the amount of support that we give to our schools, it's making a difference and it's keeping our schools safer because of incidences that never happen. So that's a great testament also to what you're doing
and when
in the
you
district.
can,
Talk a little bit about that.
yeah, when you can tell stories to your community or board about the lives that were saved, how powerful is that? We had a situation that happened last year that we had a school nutrition worker who passed out on the loading dock. One of the other school nutrition workers came out, realized she had passed out. She hit the crisis alert button. We got the EMTs there within about 4 or 5 minutes. Well, she was having a heart attack. And so we
Mm,
were able to get her to the nearest hospital. And, the EMT said, hey, we had minutes. This, us having the ability to alert the administration that we were having an issue, to get the EMTs on site so quickly because we were able to get that call in, get that notice, saved her life. And
mm.
so when you can talk in terms of lives saved, there's nothing more powerful than that. And so if we never have another occasion in the next 30 years, partnering with CENTEGIX and the cost of that was worth it to save that one life,
Yeah.
because it was a long struggle for her. And so, you want to talk about some raving fans. You talk to the people at Pike Middle School and the life it saved. That those are raving fans, and that happened to us. We saved a life because we had this tool, and nothing else needs to be said. I mean, how powerful is that?
Well, again, it goes to the idea that, seconds matter, minutes matter, and time can be your greatest asset or adversary, depending on the situation.
That's right.
And being able to not only alert when there's a need, and obviously in that situation with the with the lunchroom worker, there was a great need. Knowing exactly where to go, right? Having that location process in place where, I didn't go to the front office. The EMTs didn't go to the front office. They knew where to go. Being able to have that connection between the school office and first responders. All of that played a role in that being a more positive story than it could have been. And, and
Absolutely.
and it really does highlight why we focus so much of our time, effort, and energy to make Crisis Alert the product that it is, because we know that seconds matter and minutes matter. Whether it's a situation like that, or whether it's a situation involving students where there may be the potential of a serious incident happening, and being able to someone being vigilant enough to alert school leadership that, hey, there's something about to happen here, and we can then show up, and then ultimately maybe prevent a dangerous situation from happening that could really threaten the safety of a lot of students. And so having your faculty, your staff understanding the role they play says a lot about the culture of your district, and it says a lot about the things that you have truly put in place that's making a difference in every single way. So that's a testament to the things that you guys are doing in Pike County. Um, One other question I have, which I think is kind of lends itself to what you've already talked about, and that is, as a superintendent, ultimately there's a lot of districts surrounding you, and everybody's trying to, maximize everything they do for their students. But also at the same time, you also have to make your district as attractive as possible. This is a very competitive environment now when it comes to educational talent, as it comes to the programs and things that you can bring to your district that people want to be involved in and make people want to reside in Pike County, be a part of the Pike County family. Have you noticed any strategic advantages that you've been able to utilize by having CENTEGIX and having CrisisAlert as a partner with you and your district?
Well, I think the biggest thing I would say there is the comfort level that parents have sending their kids to school when we're seeing greater frequency of school-related violence issues.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that we have multiple layers and we have multiple avenues to support, identify, parents understanding that we have a comprehensive safety program.
Yes.
That's the number one thing. Parents want to know more than anything. I want to know that my child's going to be safe.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing. I want to know my child's going to be safe. I want to know they're going to be treated with dignity and respect. And then I want to know that they're going to learn something that's meaningful and valuable. So they can move out of my house and be independent. Those are the things that parents want. And so, for us being able to articulate the partnership and why that's important and what role it plays in our overall safety plan, it is a value add. It's a value add for our staff members that we're recruiting to know that we take safety seriously. It's a value add to our community. It's a peace of mind. And I think that's what parents want. They want peace of mind when they drop their kids off or they get on the bus. They want to know they're going to be safe, and they want to know that we're doing absolutely every single thing possible to do that. And I really believe that that's really the position that we're in right now. Because if you have a system like this that's available and you're not using it, if something goes sideways, the first question is going to be, why not? Why don't you have this? And I know superintendents, we get that fear of missing out. When one person has something, we all want it. Well, there's a reason for that, because we are going to be judged and compared by what we do and don't do, have and not have, based on what those around us do. And so, to the extent possible, based on budgeting and personnel, we have to check all the boxes.
Yes.
So if there's something out there that you can make available to your schools, if you don't do it, I would hate to have to answer that question, why you did it.
Yes, that's a powerful statement, Dr. Duncan, where you as a superintendent, as a district leader, as the face of the district in many ways, you want to be able to speak confidently about what all the things that the district has done, all the things that you've done from a decision-making standpoint, and then obviously with your board support, to put in place certain things that are going to make a difference, not just instructionally, which is ultimately the most important thing, but also anything that supports the instructional process. And that includes that safe learning environment, right? And so when you can say with confidence that we're investing in a tool that aligns with that we're investing in a tool that helps teachers feel safer about the things that they do in the classroom on a day-to-day basis, when you can say that students are impacted positively by this tool that every single adult has, that can then support them and making them feel safer for the day-to-day things that happen in every school across the country, or the more egregious things that we hope never happen in Pike County schools. And so that really does send a powerful message, not only internally in your district, but also externally, as other districts are considering tools and resources that are designed to do the same things. And so, yes, superintendents that I know are very competitive, and everybody wants to have, something that they can point to that makes their district more attractive than their counterparts, and that's just that friendly competition. It's not anything malicious, but at the same time, it is that competitive spirit that many leaders will want to share. So you kind of mentioned something earlier around, the way in which you've spoken about Crisis Alert, even to teachers that you're wanting to recruit or teachers that obviously you're retaining. Can you talk specifically around, because a lot of superintendents that I've talked to have started leveraging directly Crisis Alert as a tool that they can then go to a prospective teacher and say, here's a tool that we will give you that is designed for if you need help in any way, shape, or form, you can get it as quickly as seconds. Is Pike County Schools intentionally using Crisis Alert as a recruitment tool or retention tool? And if you are, can you kind of talk a little bit about some of the messaging that you've used in that regard?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, with our HR and our recruiting efforts, that's one of the things that we put out there, because I think much like parents want their students to be safe when they come to school, a prospective teacher, as they're looking at districts, they want to feel safe. They want to know they're going to be safe. So
Mhm.
we talk to them about our safety protocols that we have in place. We talk to them about our levels of discipline. We have very low levels of discipline in our district. Our students are very well behaved. Of course, those are all recruiting tools, right? And so, I remember, and I know you know this, Rod, back in the 90s was a great book that came out by Robert Dufour, and he had a great quote, and he said, "Attention is all there is."
Yeah,
As a leader, that's all there is attention.
that's
What you
all it
do is important, and what you choose not to give attention to isn't important. And
is.
how you spend your time and what you give attention to, that becomes what's important in the district. And so when our staff sees me walking around the schools with my CENTEGIX badge, they know I'm taking that serious. When that's part of our recruiting, as we're communicating what we're about and what they can expect,
Mhm.
that's the attention we're giving. So as we elevate and make that partnership explicit, along with many other pieces of our instructional design and benefits and all those things, that becomes a very important tool. Because I think there's another piece to this as well, is that students are coming to us with a lot of anxiety, and especially
Mhm.
as they're watching the news and they're seeing things that's happening around the country and the response to it. They're coming to us with great levels of anxiety about safety in their own schools. And so, for them knowing that their teacher and every adult in the building has their back and they're watching what's going on, uh, that is a very positive culture piece for the students as well,
Mhm.
that they know every adult is committed to their safety because they can see it hanging around their neck every minute of every day. And
Yeah.
so for me, that's very reassuring. It's very reassuring for young people to know that that is very important in our environment.
So it's that visual representation that we are taking your safety as seriously as possible. And every student, every adult knowing that they can actually see that you're doing it. It's more
Yeah,
than just saying
absolutely.
you're doing it. They can actually visibly have a representation that shows that this is something that is designed to somewhat ease a little bit of your anxiety, because ultimately, if something happens that requires us to focus the entire school and make everyone kind of get into a place of safe of comfort,
Yeah,
sheltering and things of that nature, that we have something that can do that quickly. And
absolutely.
so that visible representation is really, really key. And one other thing that you kind of mentioned earlier, that the fear quote, I remember it correctly. I kind of used to have an offshoot of it. I said, what you pay attention to is what you value.
Absolutely.
And it's kind of an offshoot of that very same quote. And so it does lend itself to all of the different things in all the different ways that which, just simply being focused and being vigilant and paying attention to your surroundings can make a huge difference in the safety protocols, but also in the culture and climate of your school and your district.
Absolutely.
So hats off to everyone in Pike County that's making that happen.
And I would think, when we first started the program, I think at least from school principals, there was this idea that everybody's going to be hitting this button all the time. And,
Yeah,
and that's just not the case. But however, we have very explicitly articulated to all of our staff, it's of course, see something, say something. I know that's very, very popular. But it's the other thing is not only if you see something that you believe is a threat, then let's activate the system. But if there is just something that's making you feel uncomfortable,
hmm
you know, let's hit the button. Let's
right.
draw an order, because I think, when we look in retrospect at so many unfortunate situations, there's always those moments that
hmm
someone just knows something isn't quite right
You
and they
feel
can't
right.
quite put their finger on it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's whatever it may be, but it's that intuition. It's like
Yep.
something just doesn't feel right.
Right.
Some, what we give our faculty and staff is like, hey, look, if something's going on, if something just doesn't feel right to you, you get that feeling,
hmm
hit that button. We'll
Yeah.
talk,
Yeah.
because
Yes.
we'd rather you hit the button and it be nothing than it be something you didn't hit the button.
Right. Right.
But even with us giving them that level of permission to,
Yes.
if you just don't feel like something's quite right, hit the
Yeah.
button, you know, and you would think that, okay, well, man, you just opened it up. People hitting that button all day, every day. It just doesn't happen. It
hmm
just doesn't happen. But when the button gets pushed, they need us.
Yes.
Yes. And whether it's a
Yeah.
classroom disruption or a medical emergency, that's I get those I get those notifications on my phone.
Mhm.
So when that notification hits my phone, my next phone call is to that principal. How can I
Mhm.
help? What's going on? You
Right.
know, and then when and I can tell you this, and when we go a few occasions where we've gone into a lockdown,
Mhm.
I will have 3 or 4 different law enforcement at that school in less than 3 minutes,
Mm.
because every SRO at every school, when that button locks that school down, they are sprinting to their cars and they are going to that school. And so the response time from our sheriff's department, I want to really lift up and elevate the Pike County Sheriff's Department, has been remarkable. And so in the few occasions that we've had to lock a school down, those police officers, having no idea what they're encountering, but knowing that there was an adult, a trusted adult in the building that felt something was severe, it is an all out response. So folks may say, wow, Mike, that feels a little like maybe that's a little too much. No, it's not too much. It's not too
No.
much. We have no idea what's
No.
going on. Now, a lot of times they'll get halfway there and the school SRO will turn them around. But hey, you know what? That's the rule. And that's what the sheriff has set up in the expectation. If that school goes on lockdown, you are sprinting to your car and you're getting to that school as fast as you can. And and I think in this world and what we have seen over the last 6 months, that's what we have to have.
Yes. I've had some superintendents that I've talked to talk about the relationship and the partnership between the district and the sheriff's department and the local police departments. And before crisis alert and before the implementation of the tool, they would have immediately said that there was a great relationship, right? But one of the things that they uncovered, even as they started to kind of put protocols in place on communication and how information is going to be shared between both entities, they realized that there were still some gaps, right? There were some gaps in how communication happened. There were some gaps in how information was shared and what information was shared, right? And so Crisis Alert has kind of crystallized that relationship and that information sharing process become much more streamlined and much more efficient. Has that been your? I mean, you just gave a great shout out to the sheriff's department in Pike County, which
Oh,
is great.
absolutely.
Can
Well,
you? Is there a little bit you can talk just a little bit about that relationship and
oh,
what you learned as you
yeah,
guys started your protocols?
yeah. A lot gets lost in translation with a 911 call. You know, you know,
Mhm.
but with the crisis alert, the SRO in the school, and we have SROs in all of our schools.
Mhm.
We're still trying to hire a few more SROs, but that's ultimately the goal. Have one in every school. Is that they're right there on the ground. So now
Mhm.
they're radioing to their they're
Mhm.
fellow law enforcement officers. So that direct line of communication, instead of going through a third party like a 911, that's very valuable, because what it does, it gets that SRO on the scene where they need to be as quickly as they can. And so the communication not only is quicker, but it's more accurate as well. So folks know exactly what kind of response that we need. And so I would say that it makes for a much more effective and efficient response.
Well, that's perfect. Now, yeah, that's been the experience that I've had with these conversations, and superintendents have been very candid about how that communication has been strengthened and tightened, and the relationship has been even strengthened and tightened as well. So that's it's good to know that that same thing is happening in Pike County. Just want to end with one last question, and really want to give you an opportunity to kind of end with this. So, say a superintendent, whether it's in Georgia or even just say outside of Georgia, called you up and said, Dr. Duncan, I understand you've partnered with CENTEGIX for some time now, and my district is considering leveraging this tool, leveraging Crisis Alert. Can you tell me what would be the three things that I need to think about as I consider bringing this forward to my board and my community?
Prevention, response, and customer service. I mean, just right off the top of my head, those would be the three things I'd put right out there. One, we've got to increase response time. We have to have a prevention mechanism in place that is responsive. And those are the three things I would lift up.
Well, that is a great way that we can then, sort of round out our conversation. Is there anything else that I didn't get a chance to ask that you think is important to share to anyone that's watching this video? I think it's important to just give you that, at least that one last opportunity to do so.
Yeah, I don't think there is. I think what I would just want people to know, and I think that we're all struggling with safety right now, and that is first and foremost on everyone's mind. And I'm really hopeful that the state and the federal government is going to provide some additional funding to make that happen. And I think if anybody is exploring this type of product, to begin to have some focus groups with your community. Our problem solving process in our district is design thinking. We love design thinking as a problem solving. Begin to have some empathy interviews with parents and teachers and students, and talk to them about safety, and begin to elicit what are their concerns, where are their pressure points, where are they scared, where are they experiencing some anxiety, and begin to build that issues list around safety by having real conversations with parents and teachers and students, and then set that list aside and then say, okay, if I had emergency crisis alert system, how many times would I solve these problems or prevent these problems right here? And I think you'll be really surprised. And I think the answer is going to be pretty clear.
Well, I tell you what, that says a lot about the methodology and the reason why the community is such an integral part of all the things that you do in your district. Dr. Duncan, thank you for your time. I know as you are right at the beginning of school, and a lot of things that you're focused on right now. And so I appreciate this time, and I appreciate you giving your thoughts. Again, personally, I appreciate our friendship, and definitely look forward to continuing this partnership. I think it's been as equally as valuable for CENTEGIX as it has been for the Pike County Schools. Again, thank you so much for your time, and we greatly appreciate it.
Hey, I always appreciate the opportunity to tell Pike County story. So thank you. And my friend, it's always so good to see you.
Good to see you, man. We'll talk soon.
Yes, sir.
All right.